This is officially the reveal of the year. This is the one that so many of you guys have been asking about, waiting about, emailing us about. This is the all-new Scout Terra, baby. That's right, the Scout is back, and not only in traveler SUV form, which we'll talk about over at alltfl.com, but also in pickup truck configuration. That's right, folks. I cannot believe we have finally made it. 40 years ago, the last Scout rolled off the line, and now it's back. So we're going to tell you everything you need to know about this new Scout Terra, talk about what makes it special, talk about the specs, and talk about the biggest surprise surrounding the Scout brand. So let's do a little bit of background. The Scout launched in the early 1960s under the International brand. And it launched as a competitor to the Willys Jeep, and then it grew in size from the Scout 80 to the 800 series to the Scout 2, and throughout the run there were various configurations. There were SUVs, there were trucks, there were station wagons, and Scout is bringing back the Terra nameplate in this new truck. Now, we all assumed, because we were told, that this truck was going to be all electric, and that is somewhat true. There's actually a version of the Scout pickup with a gasoline engine. That's right, you can get it in a range extended plug-in hybrid of sorts that will extend the capability of the Scout. Now, Scout's an interesting brand, folks. It is no longer under the International nameplate. Scout is its own brand, which is owned by, drumroll please, the Volkswagen Group. But the Scout folks are insisting that this is not a Volkswagen underneath. This vehicle has a solid rear axle, body-on-frame construction, locking differentials. It's not just an ID4 with a different top on it. It's not just a Porsche or an Audi with a different top on it. This is a ground-up product manufactured here in the USA by Americans, 4,000 new jobs in Blythewood, South Carolina. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So let's talk about the look. Very squared off, very chunky. You'll notice the headlight treatment design. We got these 4 main beams with this daytime running light that connects the middle. Scout badging illuminated across the front. Look at how big and chunky and purposeful this front end is. I'm 6 feet tall. We don't have final specs yet, but to give you a reference, this is a tall, very vertical front end. Integrated recovery points into the bumper. They're saying you can get this vehicle with an optional winch. And one of the most interesting points about the press release, I don't think a lot of people are talking about, they say that this vehicle is intended to be worked on in your driveway. Up to 80% of components are user serviceable. How crazy is that? Coming along the side here, big tires, up to 35-inch tall tires, the 35 by 12.5 BF Goodrich KO3 tire. This fantastic flush side of this vehicle, very modern looking mirrors, the door handles, none of this retractable crap that dives itself in every time you lock the truck, permanently mounted. Now, one of the more interesting things about this vehicle is it is in fact a body-on-frame vehicle, so it's not unibody like a Rivian or like a lot of the other modern EVs. And then out back, we're looking at a 5.5-foot bed. Guys, do you mind popping the tailgate open? That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. So 5.5-foot bed, and they're saying payload numbers of up to 2,000 pounds, regardless of whether or not, go for it, you're good, my friend, regardless of whether or not you get the SUV or the truck. So very cool competitive payload numbers. Towing capacity, 10,000 pounds as well. So this is still a very early concept. There we go. So I'm not allowed to touch it, but we can certainly show you. So much like the Rivian, there is going to be a little bed piece that slots in so you can get a full extension out of this bed. And it's a pretty usable size bed. In pictures, this truck looks pretty small and tidy. In person, it's pretty American sized. I'm glad to see that Scout is not just, you know, doing the German thing where they do it very small and dainty. This is Big Mac, people. This is awesome. 10,000 pounds of towing as well. Now let's talk about that range. 350 miles is what Scout is targeting, but with that gasoline range extender, they're saying potentially up to 500 miles. So if you're looking at an off-road adventure or towing adventure, certainly this Terra could be the option for you. Do you mind popping open the door, my friend? No. We're gonna check out the interior here. Or just front? Let's just do fronts for now, and then you can pop them both open. So the big news on this truck, we'll talk about it in a sec, is the pricing. But look at that interior. So obviously very digital, but there are still some physical controls, which is great to see, such as on the steering wheel. We have auxiliary buttons to the left side of the steering wheel, 4 real switches. They're not doing the ID4 thing with just 2 switches. It's a really attractive looking interior. It's got a little Rivian in it, but it's got its own flair, especially with this exposed wood across the door panels and across the dash. It just looks fantastic. We got a mount on the dash there, overhead switches, which apparently is where the locking differentials live, which is just the coolest thing. For those people trying to live out their Boeing fantasy, you can in the Scout Terra. And Zach, are my eyes deceiving me? Is that a bench seat across the front of a pickup in 20?
I'm thinking it is.
I'm thinking that's a bench seat, people. So what Scout is doing is they're bringing the electrification aspect of modern vehicles, but they're bringing in old school truck cues and designs, which I could not be more thankful for. Got seat controls, got some Scout badging across the middle, and look how open that footwell is. You know, the days of having to struggle with bench seats and these weird little limited legroom things, not gonna happen in this truck. Now, Zach, come on and take a look at this back seat as well. So, pretty good sized back seat, certainly larger than what I see on most mid-sized trucks. Maybe not up to full size level, but 3 usable seats, and we've got a big glass roof in this particular Terra, which is really a cool look as well. So from what I'm seeing, from where I am standing right now, pretty much no notes. Not a lot of comments as to what I think Scout could be doing differently or better or whatever with the Scout Terra truck. You're also going to notice a little bit of a step down here integrated into this rocker panel. So if you need to pop on up, you certainly can. That's a really cool look. Now, if you look at the mechanicals, thanks folks, you can close it up. I appreciate it. Solid rear axle, right? Rivian, independent rear suspension. Hummer EV, independent rear suspension. F-150 Lightning, independent rear suspension. Scout, solid rear axle, mechanical locking differentials. What a cool concept, right? All these old school off-road features making their way into a modern EV-based SUV, or truck in this case. That is awesome. Scout is doing what they need to do, especially with that range extender. And then the last thing I'm going to ask them for, do you guys mind popping open the front trunk? Is that doable?
Yeah.
Thanks. They're gonna come on over. So fully skid plated underneath as well, and even the option for a disconnectable front sway bar. Yeah, do you mind?
Nope.
Thanks, dude, I appreciate it. Oh, we can do it on the SUV. That'll give you a good sense of what it looks like. Power opening front trunk, huge amount of space in the front here. Not quite as big as like an F-150, but definitely usable. Now, look at that. Integrated air compressor as well. There's a lot that we don't know about this truck that we're still learning as we go along, because the press release had some good info. It's a little scant in some areas, but we're starting to get a better sense of what Scout is doing with these vehicles. And from what I'm seeing, from where I'm standing, they're super cool. Folks, we're going to have more info over at alltfl.com about the Scout Terra SUV, which I'm going to film right now. I have another 15 minutes exactly. So we're going to cut this, head over to alltfl.com if you want to learn about that. And a huge thank you to the Scout team for allowing me to come out here to beautiful Tennessee and film their vehicle. Pricing, almost forgot the big news. After incentives, just over $50K is what they're saying, with retail price under $60,000. If this is real, and it actually does reach that price point by the time this hits production in 2027, guys, they're back, baby. Scout is back. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Sweet. Thank you, gentlemen.